Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm coming to you with a tag video. This is a fragrance tag that was created by Simply Ayesha, who is one of my favorite fragrance YouTubers. And I really enjoyed watching this. I thought it would be a fun one not only to do, but also to share. So I'm gonna go ahead and start off by tagging everyone watching this. If you are interested in doing this tag, I would love to watch yours. Let me know in the comments below. And I'm gonna jump right in and get started. So she has 13 questions, which I will also include in the information box for anyone who may be interested in doing this tag. And I'm gonna get started with the first question, which is, what is your boss babe scent? And the first fragrance that came to mind when I think of Boss Babe is Coco Noir by Chanel. And for me, this fragrance is one of those fragrances that's very sort of sophisticated. That's the word that comes to mind when I smell this. It's a little bit woody. It's got a little bit of citrus in there, a lot of florals, a deep richness, and a really nice patchouli that gives it a nice strength and longevity and just a little earthiness. I think it's a perfect kind of bold woman scent. So if you are a boss babe, I definitely think this would be a fragrance that I could see wearing in the boardroom all the way to the bedroom. Question number 2, and I apologize, I keep looking down. I have my computer here so I can read the questions as I'm going through. That's why I'm also wearing my glasses. The question is, what is your go-to bedtime scent? And I have quite a few fragrances that I wear to bed, but the one that I would say really is reserved mainly to wear to bed is from Prada. This is Infusion Diamande, which is a almond and iris fragrance that is really soft and powdery, a little bit sweet, but just overall very kind of comforting to me. There's something about iris fragrances in general, the entire like infusion to iris or infusion to everything. All of the fragrances in this line tend to have a little bit of an iris feel to them, and definitely are very powdery, soft, and lovely to wear to bed. Something that makes me feel cozy and comfy, and I just absolutely love it. The next question on the list is, what is your hug in a bottle scent? And I have a lot of hug in a bottle scents because for me, kind of warm, cozy fragrances are like my number one at the top of my list of fragrances that I enjoy. And currently I would say my most huggiest fragrance of all is Commodity Milk. And I chose the Milk Minus version for this just because I feel like the expressive, I have all 3 versions, but the expressive and the bold can be a little bit woodier and maybe a little bit too much for like a huggy situation, but all 3 of them are just warm and inviting and a little bit woody and a little bit sweet. This one is a little bit more tame, sits a little closer to the body, so when you go in for a hug, you can smell it, but it's not something that is going to, you know, take over a room. It isn't overly bold, but it's a really beautiful fragrance and definitely one that makes me want to cozy up in a cashmere sweater and sit by the fire with some close friends, drinking wine, and of course hugging. So yeah, that is Commodity Milk Minus, and it's another one of my favorite fragrances in my collection. Question number 4 is, what is your secret weapon of mass seduction? And I loved this question. And when I think of seductive fragrances in my collection, I think the one that comes to mind first, because I know my husband enjoys the smell of this on me and is one that I just consider like a super sexy fragrance, one that I wouldn't wear out sort of in the daytime to an event or anything like that. It's definitely one I reserve for evenings, date nights, special occasions, formal occasions, things like that. And it's from Maison Francis Kurkdjian. This is Oud Satin Mood. And I think there's something about oud, especially when mixed with rose, that is super seductive. It is a little bit woody, a little bit or a lot very deep. And in this particular case, there's also a little bit of a sweetness. I don't know if it's vanilla or what is the sweetness in this fragrance, but it's like this jammy rose combined with this beautiful, like deep, delicious oud. And there is something hugely seductive about this fragrance. So this is definitely my weapon of mass seduction. Question number 5 is, what is a fragrance that you never wear but can't part with? And that for me is a fragrance that I bought, I think it was earlier this year, it might have been late last year, but it's from Guerlain, and this is Insolence. And this is a violet fragrance, like The first thing you get when you smell this is violet, and I never knew I was such a fan of violet until I actually smelled this fragrance, and now I've actually added quite a few other violet scents to my collection. But this reminds me, it's like a very nostalgic fragrance for me because it reminds me of something I wore when I was like a little girl, and my mom gave me a tiny little, I don't even know how to describe it, but a tiny little solid fragrance that was in a really pretty tin, and it had like an iris scent, and this is exactly what that smell reminds me of. So for me, it brings back very sort of nostalgic memories, but I tend not to wear it out. I feel like this is a little bit of a strong scent. I know there is an EDT version, but that one doesn't smell quite so much like the memory that I have. So for me, I keep this around just for the memory, just to smell it. I spray it on occasionally when I'm home alone or when I'm just going to bed. I think violet is a great fragrance for bedtime, but it's really beautiful, soft, comforting, powdery deliciousness. Absolutely love this fragrance. Question number 6 is, what is one of your favorite fragrances that you don't wear enough? And definitely for me, that is Hypnotic Poison by Dior. I love this fragrance. I've loved it since I first ever purchased it when it was launched. I actually remember receiving it as a gift, so I think it had just been launched, but it was a long time ago, sometime like in the 90s, and I remember wearing it quite a bit during that time, and every time I smell it, it just makes me happy. This is also very much a hug in a bottle scent for me, but it's cozy, it's comforting, it's all the things that I love. It's a little bit powdery, a little bit sweet. There's some vanilla, there's some almond, and it's just absolutely delicious. It's a fragrance that will forever be in my collection, and one that I find myself forgetting to wear, and definitely one that I don't wear enough. Question number 7 is, what is a fragrance you would recommend for a beginner that wants to smell unique? And I had a lot of fragrances in my collection or I have a lot of fragrances in my collection that are kind of niche scents that are a little bit more on the pricey side. And so when I heard beginner, I don't know that a beginner would want to start out with like a niche fragrance just because of the price point. So I went for something that I think is a little bit unique, and something that is very wearable, that almost anyone would probably like if they smelled it. And it is from Narciso Rodriguez. This is Narciso Cristal. And you have to like musk to like any Narciso fragrances, so I guess this is more for a musk liker. But this one isn't overly musky. This one has a little bit of that Narciso DNA in it, but then it also has quite a bit of like orange blossom and florals that make it very light, and it's a little bit sweet, it's a little bit soft, it's very comforting. It's definitely a fragrance you could wear all year long. It's a little bit powdery, and it's just lovely. It's just a great beginner fragrance for someone who doesn't want anything that's too much, too in your face, and nothing that's too overly musky. This is just a really nice light scent that I really have been enjoying since picking it up, and definitely one that I would recommend to a beginner, and not one that I smell. That was the other thing. It's very unique in that I don't smell it anywhere, really. I sometimes smell Narciso. Whenever I notice a Narciso fragrance, it tends to be the Narciso Rodriguez for her fragrances, but the cubes, I don't really smell a lot of people wearing them out there, but this one in particular is definitely one that I may not even recognize as a Narciso fragrance, but it's absolutely gorgeous. So yeah, Narciso Cristal, that would be my pick for a unique beginner. Question number 8 is, what is a fragrance that you love but everyone else seems to hate? And I knew exactly which fragrance I was going to pick, and this is not something that anyone has ever told me smells bad on me. In fact, I get a lot of compliments wearing this fragrance, but I actually have seen, just watching a lot of fragrance videos, that a lot of people out there do not like this scent and think that it is very kind of old-fashioned, dated, and it is quite an old scent. This is Chanel No. 5 Eau de Parfum. And this is the fragrance that I wore on my wedding day. I actually wore the Eau de Toilette version, but for me, this is like the quintessential like feminine fragrance. Like, I don't even know that I could ever top this in terms of a fragrance that I just find so unique and so wonderful. It is a little bit clean and soapy, a little bit floral, and there's some kind of woody notes and a little bit of vanilla in this. So it's warm, but yet a lot of people do say it's a cold fragrance, but I don't find it to be cold. I find it to be warm and comforting. I don't know. I think it kind of smells different on everyone. And for me, with my body chemistry, I do get a lot of compliments when I wear this. I tend to reserve this more for going out in the evenings and occasions where like a special occasion with my husband. I always wear this on our anniversary, and it is just a fragrance that will forever be in my collection. And I know it's one that is very much a polarizing fragrance for a lot of people, but I absolutely love it. So that's Chanel number 5. Question number 9 is, what is an overhyped fragrance that you currently own? And the first fragrance that comes to mind when I think of overhyped fragrances is one that I not only own, but it's one of my favorite fragrances in my collection, and that is from Maison Francis Kurkdjian. This is Baccarat Rouge 540. And there's really nothing to say about this that hasn't been said. This is a sweet, warm, delicious, wonderful fragrance that I absolutely love. It's perfect for any time of year. It deserves all the hype. I know it's expensive. It was actually the most expensive perfume that I had ever purchased when I purchased it, because I did purchase it before all the hype. I actually remember when this fragrance was launched, I had been doing some holiday shopping, and I was in a Neiman Marcus, and someone had come and sprayed some of this on a card for me to try it, and they were just, you know, promoting the fragrance. And I had never even heard of Maison Francis Kurkdjian at the time. I was not into niche fragrances. I didn't know anything about it, but I did really like the smell of it. So I asked, you know, about the price point. I believe it only came in either this size or this and the larger size, but this was like the smallest bottle you could get. And I just remember being like astounded by the price point, and I was in the holiday spirit of buying for others and didn't want to like spend that kind of money on myself, so I didn't pick it up. But then I ended up going back after Christmas, and I had a gift card or something, and I ended up picking up this fragrance. And I remember keeping that card in my purse throughout kind of the holiday season, and I just kept, like, every time I would open my purse, like that smell, it would hit me again and again, and I just knew I was going to go back and get it. And I could not believe, you know, at that time it was like such an outrageous price for me to spend on a fragrance, and now I laugh about that because I have so many niche fragrances in my collection. But yeah, it's a really beautiful fragrance, and I will continue to, I do try to find it for a discount when I can, but it's a beautiful fragrance, one that I think I will always have in my collection, and definitely one that I think deserves all the hype. Question number 10 is, what fragrance is on the chopping block? I have quite a few fragrances right now that are on the chopping block, but the one that jumped out first to me is from Dolce & Gabbana. This is L'Imperatrice number 3. And this is a fragrance that I picked up shortly after moving to Florida, and as I'm smelling it right now, I really love the smell of it. It is just like, I wanted something really fresh, something really watery, something that could really cut through the heat and humidity that was so prevalent here where I live in South Florida, and this is the perfect fragrance for that. When I smell it on other people, I think it smells amazing. When I smell it in this bottle, I think it smells amazing. However, on my skin, for whatever reason, whenever I wear this and I'm out in the heat and humidity, I find that it goes a bit sour, and I tend to not think it's working well with my body chemistry. It could just be a hormonal thing, or like, I don't even know, something, because I don't recall it doing that in the beginning of when I was wearing it. But the more I reach for it, the more I'm like, I'm not so sure about this fragrance. So this one, I think, may be on the cutting block. However, as I'm smelling it right now, I just really love it. So yeah, we'll have to see if this one gets chopped or not. But for now, it's a beautiful fragrance, one that is, I've been considering selling, but I just can't bring myself to part with yet. Number 11 is, what is the last fragrance you purchased? And I just recently purchased a bunch of mini size fragrances from Kayali. I wanted to try out their new Oudgasm line of fragrances. I'm a huge fan of ouds, and so I wanted to try them all. But then I ended up going back and getting the full-size version of my favorite one, which is Oudgasm Vanilla Oud. And this is a really beautiful fragrance. This is a fragrance that, I mean, there's some vanilla in it, but it's not like a sweet vanilla. It does not remind me at all of any of their other vanilla fragrances, but yet it's got that woodiness from the oud that makes it a little bit sensual, and there's like a little powderiness to this fragrance. It's very light. The oud in this is very non-offensive. In fact, I don't even pick it up necessarily as oud. I just know there's something a little bit woody in here. But it is a really gorgeous scent. It's soft, it's delicate, but yet at the same time, it has a little bit of like sensuality to it that I just love. And yeah, I think this is my favorite bottle that Kayali has ever done so far. I love all of their black bottles, but this one in particular with the gold cap, or the gold around the cap, I just think stunning. So yeah, this is a beautiful fragrance, one that I'm very happy that I added to my collection. And ooh, the notes are on the back. I should read them for anyone who's interested. The notes are vanilla, sugar, praline, saffron, white musk, oak moss, and oud. So I may be getting some of that oak moss as well. Maybe that's where a little bit of that earthiness is coming from. But yeah, it's really beautiful. Definitely one worth a sniff. If you're at a local Sephora that is carrying this, definitely check it out. Otherwise, you can actually get samples and everything on the Kayali website or the Huda Beauty website. So yeah, really beautiful fragrance, and one that I'm really happy, like I said, to have added to my collection. Number 12 is what fragrance is at the top of your wish list. And for me, at the top of my wish list is Burberry Goddess. And I have not been out to smell this fragrance yet, but I've heard a lot of people raving about it. And I do know that the fragrance, I've looked at the notes and all the vanillas that are in this fragrance, combined with a hint of lavender, I just think I'm going to love it. And so definitely one that I need to go out. I'm kind of waiting for the Sephora sale to come around, the holiday sale, so that I can go out and smell that one, because I think that is going to be the next fragrance that I end up purchasing. And number 13 is what is your number one fragrance for life? And anyone who's been watching my channel for a while knows what I'm going to say here. It is my number 5, Chanel number 5 Eau Premier. And this is a fragrance that since it was released, I remember getting the bottle at like a big release party or thing that was going on at my local Nordstrom. I ended up purchasing a bottle there, and then having several of those bottles. And it was originally released in like this tall, I don't even know, like Art Deco style bottle that was really beautiful. I had 2 of those bottles, and then when I went to pick up one in the newer bottle, the sales associate at the store that I had been in actually gave me the tester in the old bottle. It didn't have a cap or anything, but it was filled to the top, and they were switching out into the new bottles, and so she just let me have it. So I took home a full-size bottle, a smaller full-size bottle of this, along with the taller bottle, and I just still continue to love it to this day. It's something that I wore exclusively for many years when I had a much smaller fragrance collection. I probably only had like 4 or 5 fragrances, and I kind of wore this almost every single day for every single occasion. And I do find that it is kind of, for me, a very universal fragrance. It's very soft and comforting and powdery and clean, feminine, just lovely. Just all the things that I want to smell like is what this smells like to me, and I just will forever have it in my collection. I think it's sophisticated enough to wear it to work. I think it's, you know, bold enough and kind of sensual enough to wear out in the evenings, and I also think it's soft and clean enough to wear during the day. It just makes me happy. It's one that I think you can wear for any occasion, any time of day, any time of year, any climate, and I absolutely love it. So those were all the questions from the My Fragrance Personality tag created by Simply Ayesha. I wanted to reach out to Ayesha if you're watching. This was a really fun tag video to watch. I really enjoyed watching yours. And once again, I tag everyone who wants to do this tag to do it, and let me know in the comments below if you do, because I would love to watch. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have any questions about anything I've talked about, please leave it in the comments below. And otherwise, I will see you all soon in my next video. Have a great day. Bye.